Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am Sidrah Hakim. I am a soulscape artist. I've been an artist for over 3 decades and I paint landscapes of the human soul. And today I wanted to discuss about my painting called The Weave. I'm thinking, I have a question for you. Have you ever looked at something? It need not be art. It can be anything. And have you been so attracted to it out of curiosity, not the longing within you that awakens, not something like, um, I'm not talking about something that touches your soul that deeply, but it's like sometimes when you go shopping and you see something, and there are obviously hundreds and thousands of products out there, and there is this one particular product that just attracts you. And do you wonder what it is about that product that has called to you, attracted you, or just your eye has caught that thing? And this is what happened to me when I painted the weave. I painted the weave in 2013, April of 2013. But what drove me to paint the weave was many years ago, maybe 10 years before that, 2000, I don't know, 2005, 6 or 7. The first time my eyes fell upon a luxury brand, a handbag made by a luxury brand, the pattern created by Bottega Veneta. I looked at the handbag and I was so fascinated by it. I looked at it, and other than the texture, other than the unique colors that they use, it was the pattern that they use to make the handbags, the weaves, the intricate interlocking of course it's hard work, it's precise, it's hard work, it's intricate work, it's time consuming. When I looked at it, those are the things that came to my mind. I said, wow, this must, if one person has to make one bag, I am sure it's time consuming. Right from taking one strand of that leather and another one and making weaves and then finishing the product. I was just fascinated by it and the simplicity of it at the same time. Doesn't matter. I looked at it, I was fascinated, I admired it with a longing, and I let it go. Life happened, moved on with my routine, moved on with my other artwork. Just generally, I moved on. And when I reconnected with painting, and 2013, I don't know what came to me. I had this canvas and I wanted to paint something that can represent pattern. There are many of us who are very good at recognizing patterns. They can be in any form. You know, when you do the IQ test and things like that, they can tell. There are some who are just academically intellectual, and there are some who can answer questions based on the pattern recognition. And this is what I wanted to represent in this painting. But when I started it, I didn't know that I'm going to represent patterns. I didn't know that I'm going to try and find symmetry, balance, and try and make it as intricate as possible. None of that came to my mind. I just thought and I looked and I said, wow, there is this bag which I had seen many years ago, and I wanted to try and get as close to the colors of it as possible. I had It had nothing to do with the pattern, it had nothing to do with anything else. It was the colors. The first thing that attracted to me was the colors that they use. They are not the regular tan, regular um, dark brown. I don't know. There was always I noticed a certain tinge of something else in their colors. I said, let me try and first get the colors right. And so began the journey with the weave. And I said, okay, if I am getting the colors right, maybe I can try and put in a similar kind of pattern. I knew I couldn't replicate the entire pattern of the handbags. That was something else. That is something that you can make physically. You have to touch it, you have to physically make it, and then you look at it and then you recognize it. But in the painting, it's possible, but not by me. I said, I don't think I have the capacity to replicate that kind of a pattern, that kind of intricacy. So let's go with what you know, what you can reproduce, what you can use with your imagination and the tools that you have at hand. I got the colors and I said, if I'm going to try and put a certain kind of pattern, I will start at the center. And I started with the center. So I said, let me start with the lightest colors because it's easy to go dark. When you have lighter colors, you can always shade them darker, one shade at a time. When you have them darker, to get them lighter, it's difficult. I've tried it, I find it difficult. So I started, and I started with, I promise you, one line at a time. I crossed one line, then I crossed the second line, and I crossed the third line on one side. Then one line, horizontal, vertical, horizontal, vertical, horizontal, vertical, down, up, everything. So I had 4 quadrants, and this is how I played with this canvas. And it was nice, yet it was extremely difficult with the first layer because I realized with every line that I'm crossing, the colors are merging and it's spreading unevenly on the rest of the canvas. So the rest of the lines were not coming out evenly with the color that I wanted. Excellent. We like to do things that are complicated, no problem. So I did one side as much as I could without disturbing anything else on the canvas. And this painting has taken about 10, maybe 12 layers to complete because I waited patiently. I just did 2 or 3 lines crisscrossing each other at one time, waited for the oil to dry. Then I would crisscross a few other lines, waited, crisscross, and that way I did that. And for me, one layer is not enough. So when the first layer of canvas with this pattern was settled, I said we will do it again. Why not? Let's just seal it all in so that after 100 years the pattern remains the same. I did not know about all of these things, but that's what I thought. I said no, this one layer, although it took 12 trials, it did not help me. So I did the same pattern with the same format, with the same routine of layering. I did it one more layer and one more layer. And there are so many layers that I put on it just because one little square was not right. Those days I was a little particular. If I wanted something right, it had to be done that way. This was 2013, 13 years ago. I was younger. I was just younger. Today I'm different. I'm more mature. So my style is a little different. But at that time, each square would agitate me. Doesn't matter. I will do it. 10, 11, 12 layers. I did it. I painted over and over and over again. Yet there are some layers where the colors are not up to my satisfaction. But I said, no. When I stepped back, I said, step back. Take a minute, take a moment, step back and sit and look at what you have created. Not as a designer, not as an artist. I didn't even think of myself as an artist at that time. I was just someone, I was looked upon as someone by my family and friends and loved ones that this is her hobby. She loves doing it. It makes her happy. Let her do it. So there was no commercial value to it. There was nothing. It was just something that I did. And I never thought of myself as an artist. So I said, sit back. Look at what you have created as a human being. Because the tools were in your hand. So you're responsible for this creation. Look at it that way. And I did that. And I looked at it and I stared at it. Not one day, one moment. I stared at it for many, as and when I could lay my eyes upon it, I would stare at it. And I realized I like it because there is a certain symmetry to it. There's a certain pattern to it. And that I realized as a person today, maybe at that time my subconscious was speaking to me that you are someone who loves to have symmetry in everything that you do. You are someone who likes pattern. And towards the end of it, before I signed it off, I was thinking, What exactly is pattern? Why do people seek pattern in things? Why do they get attracted to things, materialistic things that have a certain symmetry, at the same time they have a pattern to it? Does it come from the subconscious? Does it come from within their soul? What about this pattern is talking to a person who is viewing something where they see, yes, this there is something, there's some symmetry to it. What are they identifying amongst themselves with that product or object or whatever it is? And I was asking myself all these questions, and I realized from my observation between 2013 and now that we as humans love routine. We love to follow a certain pattern in life, most of us, or maybe when we come to a certain age. I've seen that in the children also. When the children have a routine, there is a certain sense of balance within them, there is a certain sense of harmony, and a sense of security as well, I feel. This is what I've observed. When there is a routine, not only with the child, but someone who's enforcing that routine, so there's a sense of security. And that comes from pattern. This is the pattern that the routine has imbibed in the child. This is the pattern that the routine has imbibed in the adult. This is the pattern of the way I do things. And somewhere deep inside, it creates a safe place within whatever the balance, whatever is responsible to create the balance within us. And this is what I realized today. I did at that time as a hobbyist. I had no idea of how to express it, nor was I out there in the world. But I realized that today also I'm listening to the younger me from 13 years ago who's now talking to me inside and saying that this is what pattern is, this is what symmetry is, this is what attracts people. And you knew it at that time, you had the tools, and you did what you could to the best of your ability. And I did that, and this painting is, it's intact, and this painting has traveled as well along with Crossroads. I spoke about Crossroads in my previous video. I'll put the link in the description about Crossroads. So Crossroads and the Weave have been traveling for the past 3 years. They've been exhibited all over Europe, and it's come back to me. Crossroads and the Weave came back to me about a month and a half ago. Crossroads lost the frame, it was damaged, but this this guy is strong. This guy said, no, not a single piece of me is going to get damaged or is going to crack or is going to move. So the weave has withstood, pattern has withstood the test of time, I would say. And personally, to me personally, this is one of my favorite paintings. It's with me still. And I hope looking at this painting, or maybe trying to, or maybe the way I've expressed the concept of pattern, recognition, symmetry, how it plays a role within us in our personal growth, gives you a certain kind of an alternate perception to understanding patterns for yourself. That's been the idea, that's been my goal since I've painted, since I began painting. Whatever I do, whatever I paint is always to help whoever is looking at it. I always say that it need not be a buyer, collector, any of curator and whatever, any of those things. If they love it, excellent. If they don't, that's fine. But any one passing by has a look at it or sees it and they feel something within it, it's a win for me. It's a win-win for the viewer, for me as well. And I love that. So thank you for staying with me on this journey with my art, and let's see which painting I speak about next.